Welcome to Films Apart, the podcast where we poke fun at buried flops, unearth hidden gems, and explore timeless classics.
So grab yourself some popcorn, sit back, and let's break these films apart.
Hello, welcome to Films Apart. Today's episode is Barbarian, the 2022 film by Zack Cregger.
Zack Cregger. Is that how you say it, is it?
I assume so. Cregger? I'm not sure. But
Kruger.
it would be good if it was Kruger,
Yeah.
wouldn't it? That would be good. But this is a film that came out 2022, and when it came out, it was quite a big surprise to me. They didn't really tell you a lot about it in the trailers.
Nope.
It just seemed to be a horror film set in an Airbnb where it's double booked, and we follow Tess as she manoeuvres this awkward double booking with a man who she doesn't know if he's a creep or if he's just a nice guy.
Yeah.
And then it gets a whole lot worse.
It's a good start. When I went to see it, I'd forgot that I'd gone to see it, to be honest with you. But I actually, this is one of the horrors that I managed to bring Beck to.
Oh, okay.
Because she was like, you have seen it. Don't you remember it? And I was like, no.
She's like, I do. I'm fucking traumatized.
She was like, I was like, well, why did you see it? Was it like my birthday? And she was like, she said, no, you said you sold it to me on. You said it was a really good film and that I would get something out of it. But actually, now I've watched it, I realise why I did, because it is, the stuff that's behind the film, the themes are stuff that would matter to her. Mm-hmm. And yeah.
There's actually quite an interesting backstory to this film. So Zack Cregger wrote and directed it. He initially only started writing it as an exercise to look into like themes of sexual abuse, trauma, misogyny, and the sort of ripple effects that it leaves behind, and how that can affect men, women, all different people, fathers, children. And he had based it on a book that he read called The Gift of Fear, and it's about ignoring subconscious red flags that arise in day-to-day life interactions with men from the perspective of obviously a woman. And he sat down and told himself, I'm going to give myself 30 pages to write a scene where I have as many red flags from a male from the female. So that's why the whole start of it is this like questioning back and forth of.
I mean, it's interesting, isn't it, at the beginning, because it's quite long.
Yeah, it's
especially.
Really
I mean,
long.
we read the script, or I read some of it. You read some of it. If I was to write that script, the crit that I would be getting from it is the scenes are too long.
Yeah.
You just would, wouldn't you?
Yeah,
that is what people would say, because people are used to critiquing it in a certain way. I wouldn't say it to myself personally. I don't mind. I don't mind a long-winded scene. Yeah. But I know that is what the crit would be back, because I've done that before and I put that stuff out there, and I'm not saying it was of the same standard at all, because it's a very high standard of writing.
Yeah.
But that's the crit that you would get back. It's interesting, the red flag thing, because actually what it says in the script about the character is he's handsome. That's all.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting, because I would say that he was handsome, but he also had something. We're going down that road, aren't we? In the last episode, we were talking about Brando and
Harrison Ford.
Is this just going to be like a slow realization of us coming out? Is that what's going on here? Yeah.
Tune in next episode where we come out as gay.
So what were we talking about now? You've thrown me now.
We were on about hidden red flags.
So yeah, the actor is
Bill Skarsgård, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it
Bill Skarsgård?
Yeah.
The beginning guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
He has got like a look about him that he is handsome, but he's also got like a kind of there could be something else going on there.
And I think the interesting
really
thing is everyone going into it knows him as Pennywise. One of the biggest horror villains in the past sort of 10 years. So people are expecting him to play a villain. And when you're surprised by this nice guy on the outside, you're waiting for the turn.
Well, I would say that I didn't have that feel. I didn't go into it thinking that. And I know that he is Pennywise, but it didn't, even the second time I watched it, it didn't register with me.
No.
So I actually feel like I've watched it from an unbiased point of view. And even without that, I feel like it was really well cast as somebody who could be Or
Yeah, he's really good at
he
it.
might be
And I
a
think,
nice guy, or he might not be. You know.
I think something interesting that I'll say. So we've done what we've done previously with a few episodes. What was it? Only one or two. We've read the script at the same time, and what's really interesting about this script is it's an early draft, so there's not any production notes on it, and everything on the page is on screen. Apart from maybe one scene, we actually spoke about it. The scene where she's on the phone with Marcus, her ex, who's basically manipulating her, forcing her to say that she loves him, even though he's at home with his wife and he's got a family, and she's trying to break things off because she feels guilty about it. He's manipulating her. That's not in here in the film. I think that works a lot better because it is just a sort of.
It's not necessary.
Keeps it in the background. It weren't necessary.
Yeah. So other than the fact that going back again to I keep saying he's handsome, but going back to that,
the handsome man,
the handsome man, that's not in the script, and so it's interesting because that is that a casting choice. I say this because I honestly felt the casting was brilliant. Not just him. I thought the casting in general was very well done.
Yeah, it's a very small cast as well.
Very small cast. Everybody's, even down to the guy on the street who chases after.
Yeah, he's fucking brilliant.
It's really well cast. Yeah. So it made me think I want to see who did the casting and whether that's somebody that's renowned for it. But,
yeah, that would be interesting actually. So Zack, anyway, he started writing this 30-page sort of, I guess, practice script. It was just to test himself to writing on themes, and he got 30 pages in and he was hooked, and he didn't have a plan, which this is something you're told a lot as a writer. You always need to have your beats, you plan it out before. He just wrote this off the top of his head. He didn't have any plan, and he kept to the rule that after he decided, no, I'm going to write a feature film now, he decided, so long as I don't have a long plan, I don't know what's coming next. And if I don't know what's coming next, the audience doesn't know what's coming next. I think it does a really good job at that. It just gets fucking batshit and weird.
I mean, yeah, I didn't know a big, elongated woman figure, naked, would come charging out of the dark.
That's born from inbreeding in a basement that's been going on since the 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
I remember it being big.
Baba.
Mama.
Baba.
I remember her being bigger in the cinema. I'm sure she was bigger in the
cinema screens are really big. So she was...
Yeah, not bad. I was watching it on my phone. I was watching it on my phone. I'm sure she was bigger on the big screen.
She was so much more scarier.
No, but I remember her. I didn't think that you saw as much of her as you did. I think this is something else that it breaks a lot of rules, the script and the film, in that the scenes are really long. A lot of times nothing happens. It's a horror film. But most of the time,
I'd say a lot happens. Actually, I wouldn't say that nothing happens. I know what you mean, though. But
like for a horror film, normally it's like, we're in the house, let's get into it.
Yeah.
With this, it's a really slow burner, and it builds tension in loads of interesting ways, which is, I think, something that I might have to do myself as a writer, just a practice of. Stephen King said every writer should have like 3 stories. Horror writers should have 3 stories that they've tried telling. It's a ghost train story, the haunted house story, and a trapped in a room story, and something. And this is that sort of one of them template stories that is then obviously built around it being trapped in a room.
Trapped in a room, not just trapped in a room, trapped in a neighborhood.
Yeah,
really.
neighborhood. Yeah.
Made me think about characters.
Yeah, it has interesting character choices.
In that there is so few characters, so much so that like the house kind of becomes a character, the neighborhood becomes a character. It almost very naturally came to me as I was watching it that you've got Tess and Keith in the beginning, just those two, and then you've got a character that you haven't seen, which is the documentary maker that you've heard about, and then in the night you've got the door kind of opening, so then the house kind of feels like it. But when she steps out into that neighborhood and you see what you didn't see the night before when it was in the dark,
you know it was dodgy, but it's like fuck.
That is a character, that is, it was
it's a big statement of just like, oh, you thought she was in danger, look at the fucking look at what could have been.
Because it all seems quite nice and serene in the house. It's a nice Airbnb. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, I'd be great.
Apart from the doors closing randomly.
And the extra guest.
And the extra
But you
guest.
thought he was quite handsome, so you'd have been quite happy. You'd have been
there was
elated.
something about him, though. I probably would have been. I would have warmed to him in the same way that she warmed to him. Let's face it.
If he offered you wine,
they were going to end up together, weren't they?
Yeah. Well, I think interestingly in the script, there's this moment where she's like, no, I'll get a hotel. He's like, don't go out there. Like, you've seen it's a dodgy neighborhood late at night. Like,
then
a young woman like yourself.
A bottle of wine. What did you think I was going to say? I mean, for God's sake.
You watched a different version. He offers her a tea. She says no, and this is like the red flag thing of seeding them. He's like, oh, do you want a drink? And he's insistent on giving her a drink because he's desperately trying to be nice and make her feel comfortable, which is obviously, as a viewer watching it, you know that, but it still feels a bit ick, a bit
trying
weird, too hard, where it's like, is he a creep? He seems a really nice guy, but then there's like comments where it's like, what's your name? Tess. He's like, oh, pretty name, and it sort of holds on Tess as it's like, and it is one of them where it's like, you didn't need to say that, mate, you just freaked her out.
It's like good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, good, bad, like constantly throughout, constantly. Isn't it? And then she's like, what he asks her why she's there. She's making a documentary. He's like, oh, I've seen that documentary.
The one before from this maker.
Is that good? Is that bad? I mean, he's seen a rare documentary. It probably means that he's a bit kind of eclectic. Maybe he's not such a weirdo.
Well, at first like, you think he's bullshitting, don't you? So it's the documentary maker she's working with before has worked on something about like jazz, and he's like, oh yeah, and he's like, oh, I saw that, and she's like, you saw that? Nobody saw that. And he's like, yeah, there's this scene with that, and she's like, no fucking way did you see that? And then she starts talking about the next one about people in Detroit that are buying out neighborhoods and setting up like bands, and he's artists, and he's like, oh, do you know who would be really good to interview for that? And she's like, who? He's like, me, I'm one of the guys.
I'm not the guy.
Yeah, I'm not the guy. And they have a really nice natural chemistry that then keeps getting interrupted by these little subconscious red flags. And then he offers her the bedroom, and he's like, I'm not going to let a young lady sleep on the sofa. You can have the bedroom.
Which again feels a bit...
It's too hard, but that's something I'd do.
But it's okay to say, no, I would feel bad.
Yeah, but it's like...
Please take the bed because I'm just going to feel terrible.
Yeah.
But then to bring the,
the fact that she's a lady into it.
A young lady, maybe I'm old-fashioned.
Yeah. I think that's where it does it. And it's quite... The dialogue in it is really cleverly crafted because he's saying something that should be sweet, but in this situation, it's like,
and we're thinking,
you shouldn't say it.
Yeah, we're thinking what we're thinking.
We're thinking, bloody hell, he's handsome.
He knows what we're thinking. Well, that's what you're thinking.
You as well. This is ridiculous now. So anyway, she has a problem with sheets. They change the sheets. He has this really goofy moment, which that's actually how I've always changed sheets as well. So when I saw it in the film, I was like, fucking yes, it's made it to Hollywood.
I do it inside out, but I don't climb in it.
Yeah, I climb in it.
Do you?
Yeah, and then you shake it off yourself like proper like...
No, I turn it inside out, hold the corners, because then I can do it on my own.
Yeah,
what do you do?
You just bounce it until you're out.
Yeah, but how do you find the corners? You can't see. You've got a sheet over you.
You have the sheet. You have the sheet, and then you just feel around until you get the corners, and then you pull it up and chuck the sheet back over you, and then you go like.
I saw the.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good way. It works. And then they have a moment together.
Hack.
Yeah, life hack. They have the moment together, don't they? Where they're giggling after it, and it's like they hold, and it feels like the dog kiss. And in the script, it mentions.
Go on.
It says, if this is a rom-com, they have a moment, if this is a rom-com, this would be where they kiss, but it's not. And she walks out, leaves.
Does it say that in the script, does it?
Yeah,
I don't remember that. That's made me think of your thing. But
yeah, that's where I stole it from. Well, I didn't steal it, but I thought, like, that's a nice addition.
I felt that was the one point where I had a moment of crit with it, and I was proven wrong later. Okay. But, like, at the time... They had this scene with the wine in the kitchen. She doesn't want to drink. Then they realise they've got this connection with the documentary and the artist and stuff. And then it cuts to the scene and they're on the settee and they're drinking wine together. And she's like, oh, God, it's a cliche. It's such a cliche. And, like, to me, it's got to that point in, like, films and plays now, you know, when you start midpoint. And this is what you're told when you're writing, that you should start midpoint. Yeah. But it's got to the point now where I feel like that's almost a cliche. So when it started, it was like, oh, God, here we go. And I don't know why it bothered me so much, but it did. And then she started talking about a relationship, and I was thinking, this just feels like filler dialogue. But, of course, it wasn't filler dialogue. It's basically the theme of the whole bloody thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but I know what you mean, yeah. It does feel like the moment it loses that tension, it becomes sort of a little bit sort of, not soap opera, but that sort of rom-com-y type thing, filler. But then, like you say, it runs throughout the whole thing. Yeah. And he constantly takes your expectations as a viewer and just does something else. And one of them instances
is when
the cut. So we go down to the basement that she finds. There's a weird tunnel. There's a room with a camera, a bed. and blood on the walls. She's like, "What the fuck? Get me out of here!" Gets locked down there. Keith comes back, helps her out, and she's like, "Oh, there's this room, and he's like, "Let's go check it out." She's like, "No, we need to get out of here." He checks it out, and he does the normal horror movie thing of the guy, like someone checking out a dangerous situation that they shouldn't. And
you're just going, "No, don't do
it, don't do it." And then she does it to go and check on him because he's gone quiet.
It does some clever stuff with the door, but it doesn't close. It plays to your expectations.
And then we see Keith when she comes across him injured, and he gets brutally murdered.
Then it cuts, and there's a massive change in tone in the film.
Yeah, complete change of tone. We're in LA.
Then it introduces the character of AJ, and AJ is driving down the road. There's this really kind of like jolly kind of music on.
Yeah. Sunset, on a mountain really with a beach at the side of him.
But he's in a phone conversation, and that phone conversation turns out that he's being accused of essentially rape. So
it gets dark.
It gets
straight
dark,
back into it.
Whilst also, there's a kind of juxtaposition with tone, with the film and in that moment, which is quite interesting. And then we go on his journey for a little bit.
Yeah.
So it turns out he's the fella who owns the house.
So it's a complete shift of protagonist.
In fact, I've just thought about it. It's got a kind of template that's quite common in films where there's like 3 threads. You've got the first thread, the beginning. You've got the thread of him, and then you've got the thread of the killer, essentially, the one who's responsible for the killer, anyway. And all 3 of those begin independently of each other. Completely differently, different time, one of them entirely, and then they all come together.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like we get to our sort of second act break on each of them. Yeah. Well, I guess third act break on each of them, and then we cut to the next story. Get to the point of the third act break, cut to the next story, and then we get our third act where they're all combined into one. And he said
maybe there's 5 acts actually, if you think about it.
Probably
you've got
more
the beginning,
like 5,
and then you've got after the interview is the sort of second act when she goes down there, and then the third act is AJ, the fourth act is him, and then the fifth act is bringing it all together.
But
sorry, that's waffling.
no, it's fine. There's an argument between the third and fifth act structure, isn't there? I need to look more into the 5 act structure.
It makes a lot more sense to me, 5 acts than 3 acts. I don't know if it's just because I've done Shakespeare and stuff. I don't know, but it just 3 acts feels unnatural somehow.
So it bends a lot of rules in a really interesting way, and it was actually something that Zack Cregger, I remember when this film came out, I was obsessed with it. It's one of my favourite films of the last few years. I was watching an interview with him, and he was saying that he really had to fight with sort of studio execs on this change of protagonist and convince them that like audiences are smart enough. Audience have the intelligence to stick with it and trust it, and it's like, so it's up to you if you trust your audience, and they were like, okay, and I think it works. It
definitely works. It works really well. It's a really good film.
So I thought that was interesting.
So the theme of it is obviously misogyny.
Yeah.
So you've got AJ introduced with this rape allegation, goes back to the house because he needs to sell it to pay for the legal. And then you get introduced to a serial killer who has killed many, many women and has built like a little dungeon under his house.
It's a nice suburban neighbourhood, seemingly innocent.
You don't. It takes you a couple of seconds just to understand. We've changed time. We've gone to the 80s or something like that.
I don't know if it's 60s or something.
It does it with music. It does it with the cars. It does it with the colour and the tone as well.
It's
quite,
a really nice colour palette in that flashback. It's proper like vibrant.
And so then you've got that character, obviously, who's, you could say is misogynistic, woman killer
that impregnates them, takes their children, and then kills them. Maybe a bit misogynistic. AJ obviously misogynist. There's that scene where he has it with his friend where it's like, be real with me here, dude, they've both smashed. He's like what happened that night? And he's like, I didn't rape her, like we had sex, she took a little bit of convincing, like maybe a bit more than usual, and this sort of stuff. And it's like, it's very clear now, the person you're forced to follow and have to empathise with in some way because of he's your way into this horror film for a while, he's a rapist. And it's weird to have to put yourself there. And what's interesting is later on, it's very much blurs the lines of a protagonist and an antagonist because of the antagonist is much more you can be much more empathetic towards the antagonist than you can the protagonist in AJ because of it's just this inbred sort of monster that's just wants to be a mother.
Yeah.
You feel bad for it.
Sorry,
AJ
I drifted off in my head a little bit.
That's right. AJ proves himself time and time again to just be this sort of misogynist, selfish.
He does. He starts.
Hollywood
You
elite.
start to think that he's all right.
Yeah.
And then once again, he proves that he's not. And,
Yeah.
and you gradually realise that,
And that again is that ignoring the red flags. He's like
Yeah.
he's a major red flag.
Yeah.
But you choose to buy into the green flags as soon as they present themselves. It's interesting.
It is. And what's really interesting is that rape has become like not just a theme of this film, but it's become a theme of our podcast. And I mean that seriously. I knew that saying it was going to sound like a joke, but it isn't.
No.
Like, it's interesting, isn't it, that so many of the films that we've covered involve rape. That
Yeah.
says something about our society.
Yeah.
And this isn't and these aren't films that have been written by women.
No.
These are films that have been written by men. These are films that mostly.
Yeah.
And so, this is just a reflection of the reality that we live in.
Yeah.
And I raise this because I'm not a massive protester or anything, but there's this whole stuff at the moment with adolescents.
Yeah.
And have you seen it yet?
I've not seen it yet because I've not had access to Netflix.
So essentially, it's about a white kid. I say that just because people are arguing about the fact that he's white. It's about a white kid who's in school who he's partly influenced by social media, but essentially he can't get laid, and he ends up killing a girl at school. And there's been such a furore around it about people saying that, men are getting accused of being this misogynistic thing on the one hand, and the other hand that he was white, surely it should be a black person. It's like there's no reflection on actual reality.
No.
That, actually, if you did look at the statistics, what you would see is that, firstly, predominantly white people kill over black people get killed.
Yeah.
Women are more a massive percentage
More likely to be the victim.
Like 10 to 90% or something stupid like that. It just I couldn't, because I've watched it and because it's such a big thing in the media at the moment, and because I'm watching all these people on social media banging on about I can't believe they're showing this to schools and this and that, this kind of right wing reaction. Whereas I think they should be at least focusing on the fact that the influence that social media has on young minds.
Yeah.
That's the thing that.
Yeah, don't be outraged by the thing shining a light on an issue. Be outraged by the issue. They're just completely misguiding their annoyance.
Yeah.
I've not seen it, but
they're
that's what
just
it sounds
they're
like.
victims of algorithms. They're in the same way that the kids in adolescence are. We're all victims of it to an extent, but I just see this stuff and I find it so infuriating.
Yeah, I think that's the thing.
And it's not great. And adolescence is good, but it's not. I mean, from a critical point of view, there's problems with it. So that would be my issue with it.
Yeah.
Not the subject matter. It would be the problems with the writing of it, which is because they're doing a thing, aren't they? That one shot thing. But I don't know. I watched this film, which is a very, very good demonstration of misogyny. The themes are so good. It doesn't smack you around the face with it.
No.
It's just a really good. If you want it to be a really good horror film, it's a really good horror film. If you want to see that kind of socio-political thing in it as well, that's there as well. It's really well crafted.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think it's one of my top 5 favourite films. It's just such a surprising watch. You don't expect it to be as good as it is.
And he's quite young, isn't he? Old Cregger.
Yeah, I think he was
in his 40s, and so he would have been in his 30s probably when he wrote it.
He also produced Companion, which you said was good.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he's producer on that.
Oh, yes, that's another one that's got, there's more to it. It's got kind of themes. It's entertaining whilst also having a kind of theme in it, although that theme is probably a little bit more explicit than this. But Companion's worth a watch. This is a better film. So yeah, he's one to watch. What else is he doing then?
He's working on a film at the minute called Weapons, which there's not an awful lot out about it. But apparently the premise, the film revolves around multi-related plots marked by the disappearance of school kids in the middle of the night, police corruption, generational trauma, witchcraft, blood rituals, and religious abuse in a small Florida community.
Wow, it sounds right up your street.
Yeah. So,
it sounds really interesting as well. But I mean, it's got that.
And the cast include Josh Brolin, Julia Garner.
Oh, she's great.
Alden Ehrenreich. I can never say his name. Benedict Wong. I love Benedict Wong. He's great. Austin Adams. It sounds like it's still
he's Holden. That's not the guy.
I think it's a sci-fi horror. He played Han Solo in the Solo.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm gutted that they didn't do another.
I thought it was good.
I thought it was good. It was entertaining. I don't understand what the.
He's never be a Harrison Ford, but I don't know why anyone expected him to be able to top that. He did good.
I didn't realise that Benedict Wong was actually British.
Yeah.
What was he in that I saw the other day? Oh, Free Body Problem, yeah. It's really jarring, actually, that he's got like a little bit of a Cockney accent, but actually the Cockney accent is a little bit, like, I think it's Cockney, but it's a bit like this, it's a bit like I'm slightly Dick Van Dyke.
He was in a sitcom with Sean Locke. That's pretty cool. Yeah, so I am looking forward to that, actually. Some news came out the other day about...
News alert.
The first trailer has been released for Edgar Wright's new film, Running Man, but it's not been released publicly. It was released at CinemaCon, so I'm fucking fuming that I've not seen that yet.
So anyway, should we popcorn score it?
Yeah, let's popcorn score it. I'll go straight in. Horror bias, 5 out of 5. Sweet for me.
Well, I think I'm going to give it a 5 as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
that's high praise.
There's not a lot to say wrong about it. My biggest point of crit was just proved wrong, really.
Throughout the rest of the film.
Because that's what the film was about.
Yeah, it's funny, scary when it needs to be, tense, toys with its audience, unexpected. It's really...
Yeah. It's also very simple. I like its simplicity.
It doesn't try and overcomplicate it. I feel like so many horror films that start out great, they start out and raise tensions so high by the midpoint that they have to like exit from reality within the third act. I feel like that's something that this doesn't have to worry about because we don't really get introduced to the true horror until towards the end.
Whatever the true horror actually is, though. I mean, it's an interesting to think about that.
10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Salty.
Yeah, up there with the
Good
best.
Score. Yeah, I'm very happy about that. Great. Well done, Zack Cregger.
And if you want to come and do an interview with us, by all means.
Yeah, let us know.
Let us know.
Send us an email.
You can come to Bath, or we could even do it on Teams or Zoom, whatever.
Or if you want to pay for tickets, we can fly over to you.
Yeah, more than happy to do that, Zach.
But thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, watching, yeah.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Yeah, we're not doing video podcasts now.
We're not doing video anymore, yeah.
Taking a break. Yeah, thank you for listening.
If you want to see our faces, you'll have to let us know. Otherwise, we're going to keep doing it audio because it's a little easier to edit.
Cool.
Peace.
See you, everyone.